addition to that, in addition to saying the untruth that Hillary Clinton pushed this, started the birther controversy, Donald Trump bragged about finishing it. Donald Trump now, in 2016, says he finished the birther controversy, taking credit 5 years after the fact, 5 years after President Obama produced his birth certificate. First of all, he finished the controversy. What controversy? The president was born in the United States of America.
He was born in Hawaii. Yes. I actually don't know what to say here. I had the great good fortune, if you want to call it that, of interviewing Donald Trump. The interview was previously scheduled on the very day Barack Obama released his long-form birth certificate. And on that day, Donald Trump said that he had done the country a great service. After he had done the country a great disservice by becoming the chief cheerleader for a fraud, a birther movement trying to delegitimize the sitting United States president. So I really don't quite know what to make of that. Except for that we got played again. By the Trump campaign, which is what they do. He got a live event. Broadcast for 20-something minutes. Kate, you were keeping the count. And Jake is absolutely right. We should all have great respect and reverence for those military heroes who are now making a political choice, just as the military heroes who've made a different political choice and support Hillary Clinton. It's no disrespect to any of those heroes who served our country and continue to serve our country in different ways. But we just got played. And voters can decide what to make of that. You're right. Hillary Clinton's campaign never advanced it. Supporters of her did. And what those supporters did was reprehensible. But it was not the campaign itself. And there you got after 4 or 5 years of leading a fraudulent, reckless campaign against the legitimacy of the United States president. You got about 6 or 7 words from Donald Trump saying he's decided it's over. I guess he gets to decide that.
And none of those words that came out of his mouth were, "I'm sorry, I apologize, explaining why he ever did question the birth of the President of the United States. I want to bring in Jake Tapper now for your comments. Jake.
Well, first of all, I agree with everything John. Said. We should point out that of the statement he said, Hillary Clinton and her campaign started the birther movement. I ended it. Those are two factually false statements. Hillary Clinton's campaign did make attempts to otherize Barack Obama during the 2007-2008 campaign, talking about his foreign roots, talking about ways in which he might not necessarily be perceived as being rooted in this country. They never mentioned his birth certificate. That never happened by Hillary Clinton. That never happened by the Hillary Clinton campaign. I covered it at the time. John's right. The people who supported Hillary Clinton that put out a whole bunch of garbage about Barack Obama, that was reprehensible. And maybe somebody will ask Secretary Clinton about that. But she and her campaign never started the birther issue. Second, Donald Trump did not end the birther issue. He takes credit for President Obama being pressured to release his birth certificate in 2011. And if you want to give him credit for that, I suppose you can. That said, there really was never any question about whether or not Barack Obama was born in the United States, in Hawaii in 1961. There were contemporaneous newspaper mentions of his birth. There were never any serious questions as to whether or not he was born in Hawaii. It was a crackpot conspiracy theory. Donald Trump fueled it. And then after Barack Obama released his birth certificate, Donald Trump said that it was fraudulent, or suggested it was fraudulent. And he kept up this birther nonsense long after 2011. As recently as this year, he was suggesting that he had his thoughts about what birtherism was. Last year, he was talking about how he didn't think the birth certificate was real. And let's get into why this is important beyond the fact that it's a conspiracy theory, not unlike the conspiracy theory that Ted Cruz's dad had something to do with the Kennedy assassination, something else that Donald Trump put forward this year. This is significant because many people, including many African Americans, think that the attempt to say that Barack Obama, the first African American president, was born in Africa and was not eligible for the presidency, was not a real American, was not, quote unquote, one of us, that whole campaign was racist. There are a great many people who feel that very passionately, and to act as though this is over like that is a disservice to those people who were greatly personally offended by the whole birther movement. And John King put it right when he said that Donald Trump was the lead cheerleader for that movement.
And let's be clear. Donald Trump didn't say when he concluded that Barack Obama was born in the United States. Dana, I mean, was it when John King sat down with Donald Trump in 2011 and showed the birth certificate, or nothing has changed since then? When I am throwing it out there, and I know there's no answer to it at the moment.
Right.
Answer to it at the moment.
Right.
When
well,
did
there
he
is an
reach
answer
this
to that
conclusion?
question. There is an answer to that question, and it's no. Answer to that question, and it's no, because Trump has done several subsequent interviews questioning whether or not Barack Obama was born in the United States. I think just looking at this going forward, what was the goal of this from the Trump campaign? The goal was to try to put a button on it, be able to talk about other issues, and move on. Not going to happen. It's just not. Not with this kind of statement where, first of all, it was just, two sentences, raising some more questions and answers, but more importantly, I know that traditionally, at least in the past year and a half or so, Donald Trump has been immune to what is the normalcy of political campaigning and what is expected. But with something like this, you got to stand there and take the questions. The questions about why did you come to this conclusion? What about the 2014 interview that you gave, or the 2012 interview that you gave? Why now? Do you apologize? If he went through all of that, maybe they would achieve the goal of being able to focus on jobs and immigration and veterans. Instead, what they did was, tease us that he was going to say something, and then, as John said, played us by making sure that everybody who has an ability to show Donald Trump actually took 20 minutes, or got 20 minutes of very important decorated veterans praising somebody who they think should be the next commander-in-chief, which would not have been live on cable news otherwise. So I definitely think that if the goal, and we know that the goal was to try to put an end to this, it's not going to happen, and it will keep this discussion going, at least in the near future, instead of ending it.
It's really difficult to be surprised anymore in this election. The last 40 minutes of television and what we've all kind of gone through together is still pretty surprising.
Let's hang on one second here. We got Congressman Gregory Meeks of New York, Democrat, on with us right now. Congressman Meeks, I want your reaction to what you just saw. Donald Trump says that Hillary Clinton started the birther issue. Not true. Said he finished it. Not true. But now he says that President Obama was born in the United States of America. Your reaction?
I think it's a sad day for all Americans, not just me as an African American. For Donald Trump to have spent more time in promoting his hotel than even talking about this issue that is important to all of us. I think it's time for honesty. It's time for Donald Trump. I've been saying it before, and I know others have said it, especially Senator Rubio. It's like a con. So he conned the media today to talk about an issue that's important to all of us, that he has clearly led before, and then lie before our very eyes, promote his hotel, bring heroes. Those individuals that we're talking, they are indeed American heroes. He had a gold star member, a family member there. Those are heroes, and they are what makes our country great. They can choose who they want. But let's not play this game of conning the American people. It is insulting what he just did. And he's done it time and time again, which tries to divide us as a nation. We are stronger together as a people. This African American Museum opens up next week, and that's what its emphasis is, bringing us all together. And Donald Trump and what he just did, it's like, he thinks that it's a game. You're playing a TV show, and he can play with people and play with their emotions. I'm a member of the United States Congress, and this is a tough job. And I know that we've got to accept the media and take hits and do what we have to do. But it's a serious job. For our country. We all take a pledge not to play a game with it.
Congressman, a lot of the criticism of even talking about it. I mean, you almost heard a little bit of it from President Obama today. I can't believe that's the question I'm going to get. The criticism is people don't care about this. Why is this important to you?
Well, look, Barack Obama is the 44th president of the United States. And he was elected twice. He's the first African American president. It seems to me that Donald Trump was trying to divide this country even when he started this birther comments to say that an African American could not be president of this country. That is actually one of the greatest accomplishments, I think, of this country, showing that we were getting beyond some of what our past history was, and that we can move forward and we can be greater together, stronger together, that from many one. And Donald Trump is, implying, and I think this is what, when we talk about deplorables, none of those individuals that were American heroes that talked are deplorable, but some of the things that Donald Trump himself does is in fact deplorable, and I believe what he did today is deplorable.
Congressman Gregory Meeks, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Jake Tapper, I want to bring you back to this conversation. You just heard the congressman say it right there. We got conned, and we heard from the congressman himself about why he, an African-American member of Congress, thinks this issue is important and thinks it resonates with African-American voters.
Yeah, and not just African-American voters, but certainly African-Americans might feel more passionately about it just because Barack Obama is the first African-American president. And look, let's long before Donald Trump entered the birther debate, and I was a White House correspondent, there were these crackpots out there saying that Barack Obama wasn't born in this country. There was no evidence for it. There was plenty of contemporaneous evidence suggesting otherwise, that Barack Obama was born in the United States. And no matter what you threw at these people, look at these contemporaneous birth announcements in the Honolulu Advertiser at the time, they would have some ridiculous explanation as to why that happened. And to act as though there isn't a racial component to this, I think is a little naive. I'm not saying that all conspiracies are race-based. I don't think that every conspiracy theory is necessarily racist. But to act as though the idea that accusations based on nothing, that the first African-American president was born in Africa and thus was ineligible for the presidency, to act as though in this era where we still see so much racial tension and so much racial division, I think is naive. I think the reason that this issue has reemerged is because 2 or 3 weeks ago, Donald Trump started trying to do outreach to the black community. Now, whether that was aimed at actually reaching out and getting black voters, or it was all voters, or it was also aimed at convincing white voters that Donald Trump is not a bigot, which is something that plagues his campaign, with so many people in his campaign and his inner circle worried about voters perceiving him to be prejudiced. That's up to debate, and that's a political question. But the idea that somebody who did this, and so many African-American voters are still so offended by it, to the idea of him making this outreach, naturally brought up the questions of, well, can you understand why so many African Americans are still so troubled by this, and do you owe them an apology? We had Dr. Ben Carson on my show a week or two ago, and he said he did think that Donald Trump should apologize and acknowledge that it was a mistake. That's not what we heard. Again, what we heard is